So welcome to the celebration of the 5th anniversary of Unam Tucson. I want to especially welcome Dr. Liesl Fox, who is the Senior Vice President and Provost at the University of Arizona. Thank you very much for being with us. I want to also welcome Dr. Ken Oyama, who is the Secretary for Institutional Development at the National Autonomous University of Mexico, UNAM. Thank you, Ken. Thank you to the Consul of Mexico in Tucson, Rafael Barcelona Durazo. Welcome. I want to also welcome Dr. Joaquin Ruiz, who is the Vice President of Global and Environmental Futures at the University of Arizona. Thanks, Joaquin. And I want to also welcome to the Zoom meeting, Dr. Brent White, who is the Vice Provost of Global Affairs and Dean of Global Locations at the University of Arizona. I think Francisco Jose Trigo is not connected yet. He's the Vice Provost of Global Affairs at UNAM. I want to welcome him, and he'll be connected pretty soon because he's giving us a special presentation on situation of the internationalization of the university. I would also like to welcome our special guests who are today in this space. Thank you for all the directors of UNAM International who are here today. Also, I want to thank Roberto Castañón, director of the UNAM International. Thanks for being with us. Alberto Vital, director of the Center for Spanish as a Second Language of UNAM. Thanks for connecting. I also want to thank some of the deans at the University of Arizona who are also here with us connecting at this moment. Authorities and representatives from other partner institutions who are also connecting. Thank you for being and attending this celebration. We also keep a rich and interesting program and activities and collaborations with other institutions. So thank you for coming to this celebration. I want to also thank directors of the schools and research centers and institutes and professors from the University of Arizona and UNAM for taking the time to be with us in this celebration. Thanks. I want to also welcome other colleagues and friends of Unam Tucson who are connected through this Zoom meeting and also through YouTube, Facebook, and Unam Global Channel. Thanks all for being with us today. The Unam Tucson Center for Mexican Studies was established in September 2015 to strengthen collaborative bonds and promote academic and cultural exchange between the University of Arizona and UNAM. Bonds that go back in time to at least 1969, which is the oldest record we have of a memorandum of understanding between the two institutions. Therefore, we are also celebrating 52 years of academic work together. UNAM records show at least 20 signed agreements since then, and a long history of joint publications, research projects, and student exchange in astronomy, biotechnology, Latin American and Mexican studies, history, biology and sustainability, geosciences, human rights, migration, law, music, education, environmental engineering, architecture, climate change, and atmospheric sciences, mathematics, physics, linguistics, water resources, and studies of arid zones, and many, many more. I would like to deeply acknowledge the support of President Robbins and his interest in the relationship between the two universities. Thank you for hosting Unam Tucson at the UA campus. I also want to thank all the deans and provosts of U of A for making this collaboration strong, with a constant growth in the number and diversity of activities that we carry out together. And thank you to Rector Graue for expanding the international presence of UNAM in many parts of the world. A special thanks to Ken Oyama, Paco Trigo, and Pepe Vela for making UNAM a global institution. Due to the support of the University of Arizona, we have expanded our work to the Mexican community in Arizona. A special thanks to Rafael Barcelona, Consul of Mexico in Tucson, and Ricardo Pineda, Consul of Douglas and past Consul of Tucson, and Enrique Gomez, Adjunct Consul of Mexico in Tucson, for all their support. Nowadays, we are also developing programs with the Consulate of Phoenix as well. A special thanks to Consul Jorge Mendoza and Consul Rocio Rodriguez for all the support and the help to expand UNAM among the community of not only the Mexican, but in general, the Hispanic community of Arizona. UNAM collaborations with other academic institutions are also growing. We are very proud to be part of the educational community of the Mojave Sonoran Desert. Our goal today is to increase academic collaborations between UNAM and educational institutions in the region for the advancement of scientific and social knowledge, to promote intercultural education experience in students from both countries, to create a strong bond between the two cultures, and to contribute to the preservation and use of the Spanish language and the common heritage, to support the academic, cultural, and social development of the Mexican community in the Southwest of the United States as well. We will celebrate our 5th anniversary with webinars, a speaker series, workshops, and an online science and art festival. Please keep an eye on our website for the program. I also want to acknowledge the work done by former director, Dr. Claudio Estrada, who carried out the big task of inaugurating and bringing UNAM Tucson to life. Gracias, Claudio. Thank you for all the work. And I would like to end with the special recognition to Arnoldo Bautista, Coordinator of Relations and Management of UNAM Tucson, for his outstanding engagement with UNAM Tucson and the community. Thank you, Arnoldo. I will then now give the microphone to Joaquin Ruiz for the opening remarks of this ceremony. Thank you all.
Thank you, Elena. And you forgot to say that the most important thing of any relationship between UNAM and the U of A is you. Elena got her PhD degree in geosciences at the University of Arizona. I was part of her committee, and it's probably the best thing I've ever done as an academician. So congratulations for all you've done. You have an amazing career. Now, I am incredibly proud of the University of Arizona being part of the UNAM International Strategy. First, we have to go back and remind ourselves that UNAM is not only the most distinguished institution in Latin America of higher education, it's also the oldest in all of the Americas, and that includes Harvard. So I'm proud to say that we're partnering with an institution that is the first institution of higher education in all of the Americas. The second thing that's actually quite important and people forget is that in the 40s and 50s in Mexico, there was a thing that was called the Mexican miracle. And that was an incredible growth of the middle class in Mexico, which went from 40s, 50s in particular, and 60s. And that was driven in large part by a policy of Mexico which included UNAM as a key component of what needed to be done to increase the middle class. So education has always been a key part of UNAM. For those here that have never been there, you have to imagine a university that would be Michael Crow's sort of dream. It has probably 250,000 students. The place is called University City. And it has the equivalent of all of the research institutions that a university has, plus the research institutions that a national laboratory would have. So institutes and colleges. The college that I was part of, which was the College of Chemistry, had 10,000 students. That gives you an idea of the size and the impact of the institution. Now, the University of Arizona has had partnerships with UNAM for many, many, many years, which go beyond what Elena pointed out. Many of them started actually through a partnership with Carnegie Institution and Tumamoc Hill, looking at biodiversity in the southwestern United States. And from 100 years on, the University of Arizona has had partnerships that include institutional partnerships and deep-rooted grassroots partnerships with UNAM. So I always chuckle that Mexico begins in 22nd Street, not in Nogales, here in Tucson. And you can see it in the way that we all really care for each other and understand our needs. I think that the first sort of big deal MOU, I'm not sure if I'm right, Elena, is probably with the astronomers. We've had very long traditions, and we've built actually mirrors for Mexico for their telescopes underneath at the Mirror Lab. So all the other things that Elena has pointed out are true, but I would say that the core of the early partnerships of UNAM and the University of Arizona were in the natural sciences. And from there, it's expanded throughout. An important point that needs to be made is that I think that one of the reasons that, that these partnerships have been so powerful is because they've really belong in trying to make science and education better. And so they're real. They're not trying to, many partnerships around the world, from the US to other third world countries or developing countries, are more colonial. You know, you go out there and you look at the stuff and you go away, and it's not a true partnership. But in the case of the University of Arizona and UNAM, I'd say that it's always been a true partnership since day on. Elena asked me to say something about how this office started. And like everything in life, being lucky is sort of being perhaps even better than being smart. Jose Lever and I were part of a group from the Commerce Department of the state of Arizona that went to Mexico to do stuff. And there was a meeting at UNAM, and Ken Oyama was there, Trigo was there for sure. And the Office of Development of Phoenix, and you can just imagine, was there with a proposal for UNAM to build their partnership at Phoenix with ASU. And they had all their ducks in a row, and they were going to give them buildings, and they were going to give them this and that and the other, because they recognized that connecting to UNAM was really powerful. But what happened from that meeting was what you hope would happen all the time. And that is that Ken Oyama and company, and Trigo and company, looked at the real partnerships that existed in Arizona with UNAM. And they were not swayed by a proposal of lots of dollars and lots of PR, but they were swayed by the real partnerships that existed for many years between the institutions. And they decided that they should come to the U of A instead of having an office in Maricopa County. So Ken, I appreciate the fact that you did the right thing. I think you did the right thing. I think that this meeting today just shows how our partnership has exploded, and that sometimes we shouldn't just be chasing the dollars, but we should be chasing the vision. And the vision is sometimes informed by the history. So thank you all. Elena, thank you for giving me the opportunity to say a few words, and onward and forward. Thank you.
Thank you, Joaquin. Now I'm passing the microphone to Justin Dutra, who will be giving us some remarks about the present, past, and future of the collaboration of between UNAM and the University of Arizona. Thank you, Justin.
Thank you very much, Elena. Dr. Folks, Dr. Oyama, thank you very much for being with us. Well, now this afternoon, it could be this morning in other parts of the world as well. What an honor, what a privilege to be a part of this event and to see so many people who the UNAM Center for Mexican Studies in Tucson have touched, not only on our campus, but in the community, and of course, within the broader educational community of both of our institutions. People from around the world are with us today. What an honor to have you join us. So with your permission, I'm going to share my screen very quickly for just a short presentation, a walk through memory lane, if you will. Dr. Reese, Joaquin, of course, shared a lot of the history with us already. But I think it's a good time to take a look back at what has happened in the last 5 years and beyond those 5 years to see what's happening with the collaboration between the University of Arizona and UNAM. So if we look back to September 2015, so the little office there on Tyndall at 939 Tyndall, this is the ribbon cutting ceremony, and I believe that the actual agreement was signed a little bit before this, over the summer. I believe it was in June. We had a visit of a delegation from UNAM, and the official agreement was signed with then President Ann Weaver Hart. But I think it's important to put this into context. And I think as good friends, we can speak with honesty and clarity. And it's good for everyone to kind of remember that the relationship between the state of Arizona, let's say, and Mexico in general was coming out of a difficult period. And with the election of Governor Ducey in 2014 and an initial visit to Mexico City, he met with Dr. Narro on his first visit as governor and visited UNAM. And shortly thereafterward, things began to get better. So I think that our friendship and our collaboration was able to weather these very difficult times. And of course, under the leadership of the governor, under the leadership of so many of you who are on the call today, the relationship between our state and of course the University of Arizona is in a completely different place. So with the opening of the center in 2015, we've seen really a diversification and strengthening of the already existing strong ties between our two institutions. And I'm just going to review some of the highlights of those. Joaquin mentioned many of them, and I think that if we were to trace it back to its very origins, we would look at the collaborations in astronomy and geosciences as being really the foundation of this relationship. But there's been so many things that have happened over the years that have really brought our institutions closer. And one of them, of course, would be VIPER, which is the continued development of new antivenoms for scorpions, for poisonous snakes. And of course, Dr. Leslie Boyer, who's now retired, was a key part of that relationship. Joaquin mentioned, of course, the fabrication of the mirrors for the National Telescope in Mexico, which is operated by UNAM, not too far from Arizona in the state of Baja California. So the Telescopio San Pedro Martir, University of Arizona was very much engaged in working with UNAM on that. The School of Earth Sciences, as Joaquin mentioned. And we should also mention the Binational Consortium for Arid Lands Research, which is now known as CASMEX, originated between a partnership between our two institutions, and of course is now funded partially by CONACYT and by the University of Arizona, as well as some private partners, and really looking at the critical issues that are going to impact not only Mexico, but of course Arizona and a vast part of the United States as we move forward in the 21st century. Together, we've also looked at innovation ecosystems, starting with the Biosphere 2 and the relationships they've developed with different, well, not just different, but multiple entities at UNAM, and the trilateral agreement between the University of Arizona, UNAM, and Ben-Gurion, which tied together the University of Arizona, UNAM, and one of Israel's leading universities to look at these issues as well. and also look at innovation and development of commercialization of intellectual property. I think we should consider the Consortium for Human Rights, Migration, and Human Security as one of the main achievements. And you know, you don't have to veer too far from the headlines to understand that this is going to be an issue for years to come. And applying our research capacity and looking at how to solve these issues and inform the development of better public policies is, I think, a key role for both of our institutions. And over the past year, we've had a fantastic collaboration. Of course, it's long-standing, but between the James E. Rogers College of Law and the Institute for Judicial Research at UNAM, which are now offering a diploma in Mexican constitutional law available here on our campus, and of course taught by the distinguished faculty members at the Institute in Mexico City. Before the pandemic, those lectures were given here at Tucson, and now of course they're virtual, but I think we're getting back to a point hopefully soon where we can get back to having the visitors come. And of late, work is being conducted on the water, food, and energy nexus, the production of food between the government of Mexico City, the Institute of Ecology at UNAM and the University of Arizona, looking at, as Joaquin can speak to, some of the issues concerning food production, sustainable food production, removal of waste and water management issues for a mega city in the 21st century. The good work of Luis Coronado in SBS, he's developed a very strong relationship with the Center for North American Studies, CISAN, as have other faculty members in the College of Social and Behavioral Sciences. I mentioned the Biosphere 2 and the Institute of Ecology. Of course, music and fine arts. Wow, what an impact not only on our learning communities at both institutions, but on the community as a whole. When you think about, in partnership with the consulate, the vast array of performances and visits by artists that the center has hosted in Tucson has enriched the cultural life of our city. Space sciences, so going forward, looking at how we can collaborate on developing CubeSats and nanosats and supporting the work of the Mexican Space Agency. Kind of shifting gears a little bit and looking at Worlds of Words. So Kathy Short and the fantastic collection of juvenile literature that they host in the College of Education and their work with UNAM's cultural center and developing programs to promote the use of the Spanish language in our community here in Tucson, and of course the work that they've done in Mexico as well. Languages, so Spanish, English, and now Nahuatl being offered. So many programs have been developed to promote language development. And getting students involved as well. So if we think about the Arizona Student Energy Conference that the Institute for Energy Solutions hosts in conjunction with the Arizona State University and NAU on an annual basis, we've been able, through the good work of Jose Lever and others at UNAM, to bring in UNAM students to participate in that fantastic event for looking at energy and as we've seen in the past months, a very critical issue for both countries. And we were honored to have Dr. Sergio Alcocer speak at one of those conferences. And the good work of course, Elena and Dr. Nadia Alvarez in bringing in so many young women scholars from UNAM to participate in the Women in STEM programs over the past couple of years, and we only expect that to grow. So in summary, and not to go into too much detail, I think it would be very easy to say that a very broad, deep, and diversified collaboration based upon research, education, and service has been established between our institutions, and now we can look toward the future and see where we're going. So I mentioned a walk down memory lane, so we'll walk through these pictures here pretty quick. So we have, of course, Dr. Trigo and former President Hart, when Dr. Hart was here, when Dr. Trigo was here for the signing, Joaquin Ruiz and Rector Graue, the ceremonial signing at the College of Law for the Diplomado program. And the picture in the top is one of the visits that a delegation of UA went with UNAM to visit the regions impacted by this study on food security. Of course, Verano Puma is a very important program. So students coming from UNAM to study English at the University of Arizona. We see, of course, Claudio Estrada there with one of the cultural programs on the Day of the Dead. One of the former ribbon cuttings, I believe that was the second or third anniversary there. Dr. Bill Beasley giving a talk. Arnoldo with Dr. Robbins, President Robbins, and of course, many lectures and talks have enriched our academic life, our academic community here at the University of Arizona as a result of this relationship. The ribbon cutting for the kiosco, the UNAM kiosco at UNAM Libraries, a visit from Dr. Pepe Franco, one of the luminaries for study of astronomy at UNAM and a good friend of the university. Of course, a visit from Dr. Franco as well for the signing of the Space Sciences Agreement. And then jumping to the arts a little bit, we've co-produced an opera together, which is something that is fantastic. It was performed here at the University of Arizona at the Natural Resources building and in Mexico City as well, La Hija de Rapacini. So moving on, just a few pictures here. More pictures. Noam Chomsky on one of the visits with Dr. Oyama. Just to walk quick down memory lane. So to conclude, where are we going? Where does the future take us for this agenda? So I would say in an age of global grand challenges, UNAM and the University of Arizona reaffirm a shared commitment to work together to translate knowledge and to educate the next generation of binational leaders at the service of our communities in Arizona, Mexico, and beyond. And so if we look at what that agenda looks like, I think we have to put health sciences right at the top. There's no way that we could come out of this pandemic and not strengthen our collaborations looking at the public health and of course the translational research that happens at both of our institutions. Human rights, migration, and human security, of course, is in the headlines as well. Climate change, arid lands, law, economics, and I think looking at the competitive advantage of the North American region, we have a lot at both institutions that we can bring to bear to that intellectual pursuit, space sciences, education, and of course, fine arts and music, which I think really has been one of the areas where we've had the most success. So I think these would be the things that we would roster going forward. It's not an exclusive list by any means, but as you can see, a lot of work has been done, but there's so much more to do. A great collaboration has been established and strengthened by the good work of Claudio Estrada, Elena, and so many others who are on this call. So with that, I'll conclude my remarks, and I think we're ready to move on to the next speaker. Thank you.
Thank you very much for your presentation, Justin. It's wonderful. It's wonderful to see how much we have done together, how much we will continue doing together. So as I mentioned in the introduction, we are growing on the variety, diversity of activities we do together, and we get more and more student involvement in the activities. So even though we had the pandemic, it didn't stop us from continuing to work together. And we had strengthened the collaboration online. And it has shown that it's very successful because it allows more people to participate in all our activities together. So thank you, Justin. And now for kind of the symbolic signing. This is just a symbolic signing of the agreement between the University of Arizona and UNAM. Through this event, we are like renewing the agreement that created the Center for Mexican Studies at Unam Tucson. This renewal was already signed on behalf of the University of Arizona, but by Dr. Liesl Fox, Senior Vice President and Provost at the University of Arizona, and on behalf of UNAM by Dr. Ken Oyama, Secretary for Institutional Development. I want to thank you both for being here. The presence and putting on the screen the agreement is kind of the virtual official signing of the renovation of our collaboration. I want to thank you for being with us. And I would like to pass the microphone to Dr. Fox, please, if you can give us some words. Thank you.
Thank you very much. My eternal thanks to everybody for being here virtually for this important event. Elena Centeno Garcia, our alumna and our host today, thank you for taking time to step us through the history of this remarkable relationship. Dr. Ken Oyama, welcome, Secretary for Institutional Development. Dr. Francisco Trigo, Coordinator for International Affairs at UNAM, thank you. And Rafael Barcelona, Consul of Mexico in Tucson, thank you. Thank you also to the University of Arizona team for stewarding this important relationship forward. The University of Arizona was deeply honored to have been selected in 2015 as the site for UNAM's 11th Center for Mexican Studies Abroad, joining a very select group of universities and partners for UNAM worldwide. The establishment of the Center for Mexican Studies here in Tucson has contributed significantly to the strengthening and diversification of the long-standing ties between our two institutions. The signing today of the renewal of the agreement to host the UNAM Center for Mexican Studies at the University of Arizona is a reaffirmation of the university's commitment to continue to strengthen our ties to Mexico's national university and to support our shared goals of promoting joint research, faculty and student exchange, educational cooperation, and to support UNAM in its objective of promoting the Mexican culture and language in our region. The impact of the Center for Mexican Studies on our university and on the community at large over the past 5 years has been significant, as we've heard in some detail during this meeting. I am extraordinarily impressed at the breadth and range of activities that we've taken on together. It is truly remarkable. With the support of the staff of the Center for Mexican Studies, UNAM and the University of Arizona have strengthened long-standing research collaborations and developed many new ones that will address the grand challenges facing all of us. Much of that work being led by our colleagues right here on this call. We thank the former and current leadership at the Center for Mexican Studies for facilitating these relationships and for continually developing new opportunities for our scholars. I recognize that doing this work takes careful tending of relationships over a long period of time to build trust and to build confidence that the partnership will be beneficial to both parties. This work is time-consuming and takes great care, and I am grateful to all of the folks on both sides of the relationship who have done that work. Over the past 5 years, the Center for Mexican Studies has been the cornerstone for the promotion of the arts, music, and culture of Mexico on our campus by working closely with our College of Fine Arts, the Fred Fox School of Music, the University of Arizona's libraries, and many other campus and community organizations, most notably the Consulate of Mexico here in Tucson, to bring world-class artists and performances to our community. This work has enriched the lives of all members of our community. Going forward into the next 5 years, with the renewal of this important agreement, our partnership has a very firm foundation upon which to grow. If the first 5 years are any measure, we can expect to see some great advancements come through the good work of the Center for Mexican Studies. The University of Arizona is committed to expanding our collaboration with UNAM, and we are deeply honored to continue to host the Center for Mexican Studies on our campus. Thank you, each and every one of you, for the effort and tending you have contributed to making this a success so far. With thanks.
Thank you very much, Dr. Fox. Now I pass the pen for signing the agreement to Dr. Ken Oyama, please.
One day, Ken, in person.
Okay. Okay, we signed it already. Thank you very much. Okay, well, thank you very much, all of you. Dr. Fox, very nice to meet you, and really very nice words for this agreement. Also, I want to thank Elena. Thank you very much. Congratulations for the Mexican Center for Studies in Tucson, and all the previous director, Dr. Claudia Estrada, and all the member staffs of our center at UNAM in Tucson. Thank you very much for all the efforts that you have done during the last years. And also I would like to thanks to all our friends in Tucson. Joaquin, thank you very much. Justin, a very nice summary of all the activities that our university had done in the last few years. And also Dr. Brent White, thank you very much for everything. So congratulations for all the people for this 5th anniversary. And of course, as mentioned before, we have a very long history of collaboration between University of Arizona and UNAM. So let me just read a very brief message from our president, from our rector, Dr. Enrique Graue, who is sending me a message for all of you. So I will read the message from our president. So on February 2015, the University of Arizona and UNAM signed a collaboration agreement with the purpose to continue the promotion of joint research, teaching exchange, and cooperation, and the dissemination of Mexican culture. The renewal of these agreements that bring us together today endorses the spirit of the academic cooperation that unites our university, assuming education, knowledge, and culture as the driving forces for the development of our nations. Updating agreements and commitments jointly assumed by UNAM and the University of Arizona acquires by itself special importance in the context of the health emergency that the entire world is going through. Today, all human activities have been impacted by COVID-19 pandemics. The institutions of higher education are called upon to take initiatives in the scientific, humanistic, and cultural sphere to intervene with creativity and intelligence in view of the challenges imposed by the health crisis. Furthermore, this crisis has opened the need of new models of higher education and how the universities have to be transformed to face different global or local crises, climatic change crisis, loss of biodiversity, and all types of humanitarian crises like poverty, migration, and so on. In the last few years, scientists from UNAM and the University of Arizona have published dozens of scientific papers on several topics such as space and planetary sciences, ecology, evolution, geology, among many others. It has been very satisfactory. However, probably it's time to move to another stage, taking advantage of the excellent relationship between both universities. We must have moved forward to the consolidation of joint initiatives that go beyond the research projects that have been developed for many years. For instance, a few years ago, we discussed with all some members of the University of Arizona the possibility of creating national laboratories or national centers for long-term studies in northwestern Mexico or southwestern United States on, for example, sustainability, conservation, biodiversity, arid lands, geology, among many other fields. Likewise, in the area of education, we continue to be very interested in achieving double degrees at the graduate program level. Joint projects with expert supervisors of both universities will project the collaboration agreements between our universities at another level. It should be emphasized that our universities are united by much more than mere geographic proximity. They are public institutions with recognized prestige in teaching, research, and the dissemination of culture. Both are distinguished by cultivating and preserving diversity and plurality as inalienable values. Both universities are equally aware of the imperative need to provide the knowledge to the resolution or for the resolution of real problems and challenges. Both fully assume their vocation of service to their communities, their countries, and the world. Design or renewing our joint will and capacities through the extension of our collaboration agreement for at least another 5 years demonstrates our commitment for a better future for the education of the new generation in all fields of the knowledge, in science, in arts, in humanities, etc. Therefore, I celebrate this event and extend the gratitude and recognition from our rector, Enrique Graue Vijas, for the support, hospitality, and solidarity that the University of Arizona has offered us in the last years. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Oyama, for those wonderful words. And please thank Dr. Graue for sending this wonderful message to us. Before I pass the microphone to Dr. Brent White, I would like to thank Sarah Smallhouse, who is the president of the Brown Foundation, for being with us. Thank you, Sarah, for attending this ceremony. It's very special for us to have you here. Now I pass the microphone to Dr. Brent White, if you would like to say some remarks. Thank you.
Great, thank you, Elena. So it's really fantastic to be here together for this event. And I do think it speaks to some of the advantages of the new interaction in the COVID era, that we have so many people here today, but it also speaks to the specialness of this relationship, and then it's touched so many of us across the university. I want to take a moment to again recognize and thank Dr. Ken Oyama for being here, and Dr. Francisco Trigo, who's Director of International Affairs at UNAM, and thank again Rafael Barcelona, our Consul of Mexico in Tucson, for joining us today, as well as Dr. Folks. You know, it really is remarkable, and that we have so many people here, and it's so many people to recognize and thank. So just broadly thanking all of you, each of you, for what you've done for your part in contributing to this relationship. A real special thanks to you, Elena, Claudio, Arnaldo, for your efforts and being the face of Unam Tucson and your sustained efforts to make this partnership real. On the Arizona side, I think a special thanks as well to Jose, Justin, and Nadia for their incredible work as part of our Mexico initiatives team, and Joaquin for really being the linchpin in this relationship with UNAM, and all you've done, Joaquin, to foster this extremely important relationship to both of our institutions. You know, we're really honored to be selected in 2015 to be a site, your 11th center for Mexican Studies abroad, among a very select group of universities. And like Joaquin, I appreciate that you got it right and chose the right university in Arizona for this partnership. You know, having the center here has certainly deepened our relationship, as several of speakers have noted today, that dates back a very long time, a century perhaps, with the first signed agreement in 1969, but really agreements that stretch back much further. Having the center here on campus has really helped to make UNAM and the UNAM Center for Mexican Studies a part of our community, a part of the Wildcat family. And that's a difference, I think, that having the presence here makes. As we've heard today, the collaboration really stretches across the university from multiple disciplines, from the arts to the humanities to the sciences, across the breadth of University of Arizona as a comprehensive research institution, and UNAM as the national university of Mexico. And we've, I think, done great work in bringing together our universities across the multitude of strengths of our two institutions. President Robbins is fond to say, and we certainly agree, that no country is more important to the University of Arizona than Mexico. This is true given our shared history and what is indeed a shared future together in this region. And no university has been more significant to the University of Arizona than our relationship with UNAM. So we're especially delighted to have the center on our campus. As we kind of look toward the future, I think Justin has laid out a great agenda where we work together to address the challenging issues for our generation, from climate change to migration and human rights, and of course, above all, forging together a sustainable future for our planet. We should mention that this partnership has also resulted in really an astonishing number of faculty from multiple disciplines that have gone back and forth between our institutions, and short stays we've hosted mutually between our institutions. As noted earlier, the UNAM Center for Mexican Studies is important to the University of Arizona, but it's much larger than that and is engaged beyond the University of Arizona, including partnerships with our sister institutions, ASU and NAU, and many public and private sector institutions throughout the state. As also noted by other speakers, but bears repeating, the Center for Mexican Studies has also played a key role in promoting Mexican arts, language, and culture and traditions in the community of Arizona. UNAM is blessed to be the home for so many world-renowned artists and musicians, and we appreciate your bringing that richness to the University of Arizona and to our community. So thank you very much. We look forward to another 5 years of continued growth and collaboration and many years of collaboration beyond that. So with that, thanks so much, and I'll turn it back to you, Elena.
Thank you, Dr. White. It has been delightful to work with you and with your team, with Justin and Nadia. It's been just a great honor to be part of the UNAM UA global group, and I really thank you for your words. Now I pass the microphone to Consul Rafael Barcelona. Please, if you can give us some words.
Thank you so much, Elena, and thank you so much to all the participants. First of all, I will take a literary license and welcome you to Tucson. We are all of us in Tucson today. So I think in the pandemic we can be more imaginative, and we actually have accomplished that, being more imaginative, that's for sure, because this occasion deserves the privilege of being all of us together, so many friendly faces, and I am deeply honored to be part of this team. I will call it a team of the UNAM UA. We are very excited at the Consulate of Mexico, and I am very thankful to my predecessors, and I am sure the people that comes afterwards to the consulate will be extremely excited to know that they have here an embassy of knowledge, because the word of embassy, it came from the Italian. There was a burden. It was a messenger that brought a burden. So I think anyone who brings this burden of anything from one country to another is actually an ambassador. And I am so pleased to join this fantastic teams of scholars that bring from one country to another knowledge in the shape of this cultural and academic exchange. I'm deeply honored of that. I want to thank, of course, Dr. Enrique Graue and Dr. Robert Robbins, and of course to greet my colleagues here, Dr. Liesl Falk and Brent White, and of course, Dr. Ken Oyama and Francisco Trigo, and also thank deeply Elena and Arnoldo, who are our partners in crime from the consulate in so many projects. We are so happy and we are so fortunate to have you here. And of course, Justin, Nadia, Jose, who also works as our partners in crimes from the U of A team. Thank you so much for all of us. I liked to address this occasion as an analysis of the past. We were celebrating 5 years, but it ended up that it wasn't 5 years. It was 52 of a official collaboration, but no, it wasn't 52. It was more of that. So it was basically it's centennial collaboration from the two universities. So we have a very strong and long path to build on. The present, it's fantastic. Elena sent to me a recapitulation of all the programs and activities that are being actually done in the present. And it is so heartwarming to know that not even one of the hardest crises that our generations are going to endure, that we are living now, has actually impeded and restricted all that work that is being done. So thank you so much for that work. And the future, and I want to say something very optimistic about the future. The Ministry of Foreign Affairs of Mexico has in Tucson two facilities. The one is the one where the consulate is located, but we have an historical facility in downtown Tucson, and we are working with Tucson to make with the UNAM to make that facility available for the Center of Mexican Studies in Tucson. So there is some legal reviewing process that we hope we can advance more rapidly in the future, but I think that it's just an omen of how many opportunities lie ahead of us in this shared project that the University of Arizona, UNAM, and of course the government of Mexico, being represented through the Consulate of Mexico, need to do and are going to do. So I just want to finish this conversation acknowledging all of the goals that UNAM, Tucson, and the U of A have accomplished. I would say first, they have created new knowledge. That's a lot of value for our societies. Second of them, both universities are very known and well known for addressing our shared challenges in the border region and in the relationship and not just of a political or social nature, but also in hard science. So both universities had helped our countries to get to know ourselves better through the academic and student exchange. And they definitely have strengthened our friendship between Mexico and Arizona. This current pandemic made the world more fearsome, travel more restricted, but actually also entailed much exchange and adaptation that we thought it was possible for us. So, and this celebration is a proof of that, and I am very optimistic about all the benefits of our shared work together. So thank you so much for inviting me, and an appreciation of all the work that has been done for all this wonderful team in U of A and UNAM.
Thank you, Rafael. Thank you for your words. And it's very exciting to continue working with the consulate and building more opportunities in collaboration with the University of Arizona for the Mexican community and beyond that, going through the whole community of Tucson. So thank you for the words. And now I pass the microphone to Dr. Francisco Jose Trigo Tavera, who is the Vice Provost of Global Affairs at UNAM, who will make a short presentation on the on UNAM internationalization strategies, and that will be kind of the end of our ceremony. And thank you, Dr. Trigo. I pass the microphone to you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Elena. If you help me, please, with the presentations while I make some comments. I want to thank you, Elena, for putting together this program and for reminding us that already 5 years have passed since the formal presence of our office at University of Arizona. Justin gave us a recollection of how things occurred at that time, and we are very pleased that everything came down right at the right place at the right time. Dr. Ken Oyama, thank you very much for your presence here. To our friends at University of Arizona, Liesel Folks, Vice President, Brent White, Vice Provost, Joaquin Ruiz, Justin Dotram, Nadia, Jose Lever, thank you very much for sharing this dream and these activities with these 5 years of very intense work together. I want to thank the presence of deans of UNAM present at this celebration, as well as academics. The presence of Claudio Estrada and Arnoldo are certainly well recognized. Thank you very much for the presence of our consul, Rafael Barcelona, and his collaborators. Elena asked me to give a presentation of the strategies that UNAM has followed over the years, and I'm going to try to make it as short as possible. This area where I'm now, the CRI, Coordinación de Relaciones y Asuntos Internacionales, was created by Enrique Graue in 2015. That doesn't mean that international activity obviously began at that time. Simply everything was put together under one umbrella. We depend from the Secretary of Institutional Development. And here at the bottom, we have the GESI, the General Direction of Cooperation and Internationalization, with all the agreements are kept up and the mobility of undergraduate students. CEPE, the Center to Teach Spanish to Foreign Students as well as Mexican culture. This coordination of the 14 international offices of UNAM. RURI means the network of representatives for international activities at the different locations of UNAM. Each school institute has a representative for international activities appointed by their dean. And WISU, our unit where we host 10 international offices, certainly one of them, University of Arizona. Next, please. The international dream of UNAM began 100 years ago. The then rector, Jose Vasconcelos, created the summer school in Mexico City to attract American and Canadian intellectuals to come to learn Spanish, Mexican culture, and so on. So this year, we are making in July 100 years of this important event. In 1944, we opened our first extension school in San Antonio, Texas, to teach Spanish and Mexican culture. You see here the original publication. We had a second school. Well, the summer school became CEPE in 1981. In 92, another location of CEPE in the colonial city of Tasco. In 95, the second extension school in UNAM, Canada, in Ottawa, Gatineau. And 2002, the third extension school in Chicago. You can see already with 3 extension schools, the GESI was created into a big direction at UNAM, but the then rector, Jose Narro, asked for a model not as expensive as having extension schools, and we presented him the Center for Mexican Studies, where we insert ourselves within a university, where we have a strong relation and start a close interaction to increase mobility of the students, exchange faculty members, joint research projects, dissemination of Mexican culture, and teaching or certification of the Spanish language. And as I mentioned, 2015, the creation agreement of this coordination. Next, please. The international head office function under my direction are to promote UNAM internationalization by developing different strategies, establish systematic processes for the planning, administration, and evaluation of the 14 offices abroad, represent UNAM with governments, university, diplomatic missions, and so on. Next. Coordinate the network of macro universidades. These are the 37 largest public universities in Latin America, and the executive secretary is at UNAM, at my office. And we also gather institutional information concerning the activities carried out in all UNAM, and we publish on yearly basis a summary of the things done the previous year. The next one. We develop the policies to have clear vision, and they are linked with the development strategic plan of Rector Graue for these 4 years. In summary, promote internationalization with all the facets, the aspects, consolidate UNAM prestige internationally, expand and strengthen strategic alliances. Next. Strengthen the insertion of UNAM academics and students in research projects. Calls for international students and academics to come to UNAM, and support programs that reinforce values of multilateralism and international cooperation. The next one. Elena, next one. The previous one. This is more or less a strategy that has been followed with all our interactions. And as you can see, we have started with student mobility. We can jump to online learning, joint research and cultural exchange, joint publications, joint degrees, joint research applications. And usually, as it happens with University of Arizona, you have an office with us here at UNAM, and we have an office there with you at Tucson. Obviously, this path is not always followed in this straight line. Some things begin in one step and jump to another, but this is more or less the path we want to follow with other international universities. Next one. When we start a relation with other higher education institutions, we have developing workshops. First, we talk with them how to strengthen the collaboration with a counterpart. We look for thematic areas of research and collaboration and how to improve that collaboration. These workshops have been very helpful for us to strengthen collaboration when we begin relationships with other universities. The next one. This is an overview then of our original schools, San Antonio, Chicago, and Canada. And in blue, you can see the rest of the 11 facilities that we have, 4 in Europe, in Beijing, China, Johannesburg, Costa Rica, to cover the strategic areas that we have identified. The next one. At the same time, these are the 10 universities we are hosting here at UNAM. Obviously, the oldest with us is University of Arizona and Sorbonne Universités, represented by the Institute of Research and Development of France. And I can add that this year, the second half, University of Illinois will be joining us as University of León from Spain. The next one. The network of macro universidades, the big public Latin American association, began in June 2002. At this moment, Dr. Enrique Graue is the president since November last year for the following 2 years, and we are developing joint research initiatives and projects. We have encouraged a lot with the scholarships to move postgraduate students from UNAM to other 36 universities. May I say that UNAM has been the most requested university by the other 36 universities from Central and South America. The next one. The Office of Cooperation and Internationalization, in Spanish, the GESI, promotes internationalization, the academic cooperation, and student mobility. All the undergraduate mobility of UNAM going out and coming in is regulated by the GESI. We have more than 1,000 agreements with foreign universities, and they keep track of all these agreements. Next one. So the GESI strengthens also the participation with alliances, promote signing of new collaboration agreements or the renewal, regulate procedures to regulate precisely international actions, student and academic mobility, incoming and outgoing, increase the flow of foreign students to UNAM, and they organize the RURI, this network with 80 people from UNAM. We meet once a month where good practices are shared. Ambassadors come and give presentations about international education and the university. All our offices, for example, Jose Lever has given a talk with this network. explaining the interaction with University of Arizona and so on. The next one. Elena, please, the next one. From our funding and funding from federal government in Mexico, we give support to our students to do international mobility. As you may know, the undergraduate presence of UNAM are mostly middle class or lower middle class. So this is the expenses what we cover for one semester for them to go abroad and to have an international experience. And this has been going for many years. The next one. Our network for international representatives. This is a faculty member appointed by the dean of each institute and school of UNAM, is the spokesperson of the head or the dean of that entity, represent the interests of that entity in agreements, validate the students or academic mobility, participate in and work in the commissions we have within this RURI network, and provide CRI, that means us, with all the details of the interaction of their students and faculty members internationally. Next one. Our Center to Teach Spanish to Foreign Students and Mexican Culture, as I already mentioned, is making 100 years this year. They produce their own teaching material. We receive about 3,000 students per year of international background. And so it has been a very key point because the students international come to polish their Spanish knowledge. At the same time, they ask to take some courses in our schools. We certainly provide that facility as well. The next one. And so the Spanish, we also certify the knowledge of Spanish. We have a specialization, a master's, 1-year master's program to be qualified to teach Spanish as a foreign language that a lot of people who teach Spanish don't have any recognition. So that has been very, very helpful to offer this formal training to faculty members. They carry out research in teaching, prepare their teaching materials in Spanish, very well recognized books, and they also support the international project of UNAM. Next one. Here you have an overview of the last 8 years, the presence of international students. United States brings a lot of people, but if you add Japan, China, and Korea, they make up about 40% of our student body here because of the interest in Mexico and trade with Latin America and learning the Mexican variety of Spanish. The next one. We have created in the same way you Americans have the TOEFL exam. We developed the TOEFL exam equivalent in Spanish, an exam created by UNAM, Instituto Cervantes from Spain, University of Salamanca, and Buenos Aires from Argentina. Integrates this exam, offer online, worldwide, integrates the linguistic varieties of Spanish, the Mexican variety, Caribbean, the Argentinian, and so on. Online application evaluates the 4 activities of a language and is offered online in more than 1,000 locations already. And so this exam, we are closely behind that exam and is increasing the offering worldwide. Next one. Well, here is our location. Here is in this floor, we are located here at University City in Mexico. And we hope you pay a visit whenever you come here. And so this has been a quick overview of 100 years of history of UNAM in the internationalization and how we've been maturing this project up to the present time. Thank you very much for your attention. Elena, I go back to you.
Yeah, my computer got stuck and I couldn't get the microphone on. Thank you very much, Dr. Trigo, for this trip in time and in a space around the world of the presence of UNAM in all the different countries, and also to see how much it's been growing lately. I would like to also close this event by saying thank you to everybody for attending. It has been just a wonderful time to see all of you together. I want to thank all the directors and deans. I see that Dean J.P. Jones is also here. We have just wonderful collaborations with social and behavioral sciences. And thank you all for attending this event. As I told you at the beginning, keep an eye on our website because we will have a very rich program for celebrating the 5 years of UNAM at the University of Arizona. Thank you all. And I would ask you please to open your cameras for just a moment so we can take the group picture.